controversy is here to stay, man. What do you think? I love controversy. Can't live without the truth, eh?
Umuntu ngabantu. You are because of we are. Is it like that, Estelle? Good day, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good day to you, Buti. How are you?
I'm all right.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to express my views in this show. It feels like I'm at home.
Yeah, feel at home, brother. You must
you.
sit and be comfortable, eh?
Thank you, sir.
All right, that would be our topic for the day, Ubuntu, the spirit of Ubuntu. And we are going to be looking deep into exactly what happened to this beautiful phenomenon that we own as African. Ubuntu. Busakhona sithebe Ubuntu. Or do you still practice it? Is it still practiced unto you?
Perhaps the important question that we need to ask, Ubuti, what is Ubuntu? Because I think that it's very fundamental in terms of us starting this show to perhaps define ukuthi Ubuntu buyini.
Awuchaza lapho.
Okay, Fethu. Well, it is an ambiguous word itself, so perhaps I will be forced ukuthi ngilichaze ngey'ndlela ey'ningi.
Please do.
But Ubuntu, it's an what you call, it's a Nguni word. Simply translates to what we have said. I mean, even though you said it philosophically, that you are because of we are, or we are because of you are. So it's a concept of collectivism more than individualism. So that's what Ubuntu is. And the most important thing that perhaps we need to mention that people do not know, the word Ubuntu itself, it derives from the word Ubuntu, and Ubuntu ungumkhulu wethu wabantu abamnyama. So immediately when someone says unobuntu, he simply means ukuthi, through your veins, through your arteries, through your blood, there is a spirit or the energy of Ubuntu that's running. That's why you cannot really teach someone Ubuntu. Not a church, not any organization that can teach one ukuthi abe Ubuntu. But again, Ubuntu it encompasses a lot of things. It embodies what we call coexistence, compassion, inclusivity, harmony, peace, and all that. So that is Ubuntu. So perhaps to go back to your question now, whether Ubuntu bukhona yini, then we need to look at those elements that I've just mentioned. Is there coexistence among people, compassion, But it is very important, again, to state, in my understanding now, not maybe in a philosophical language or in an academic language, to explain Ubuntu in a contemporary language. And I always say Ubuntu is when you do not have shoes, and then I give you shoes. When you can't have children, then I assist you in that department. So Ubuntu no.
Before you continue,
yes, I'm joking.
Is there a correlation between Ubuntu and the communism?
Well, it's not exactly, because of
communism is inclusive.
Yes. But remember now, communism it's an ideology. So that's why I said Ubuntu. It's something that you can never be taught. But communism is something that now you need to study Karl Marx, as I'm a student of Karl Marx, and understand everything is owned by a community or by a state. But in this instance, it simply means it starts with you as an individual. You have generosity. to assist one another. But the most important thing to ukuthi we need to understand ukuthi Ubuntu can really build the nation or even destroy the nation.
Okay, so yes. Is it still practiced according to your experience, your knowledge? Is it still practiced?
Well, in 1652, when the Dutch settlers came, or when they were on their way to India to look for spices, and then accidentally they came to South Africa. It was the spirit of Ubuntu that we say, guys, you can coexist with us.
Come, eat.
Come, you can stay. You know, in 1994 and 1993, the TRC Truth and Reconciliation, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, whereby it was stated that the white regime, the apartheid regime, killed our people. You know, they buried our people. In Betal, in Flapas, and all that. But again, it was the spirit of Ubuntu that Mandela said, okay, guys, we can stay together. Guys, it's fine.
After such atrocities.
Even after such atrocities and calamities. But Mandela said, no, it's fine. You can coexist, you know. And both those people both those guys, Mandela and Tutu, they won the Nobel Prize for simply saying, no, it was fine, guys, you can come and stay with us. So definitely compared to Ubuntu, it still exists. But with and now people are very skeptical because there is an issue of criminal element. So you may try to extend the hand, try to be generous, try to have that spirit of Ubuntu, then you find what it has been used in a bad way.
Coming to exactly the point that you are talking about.
Yes.
Where now people take advantage of Ubuntu now. True. And they're misusing it to their own endeavors.
Yes.
So is it still a relevant phenomenal to have Ubuntu while it is misused, as it was misused
1652. You bad with history.
Horrible. That's why I never did this. And it was again misused again in 1983.
Yeah.
It is continuously misused because of people are using Ubuntu when they are hiking in the road and you feel for them,
hijacked
they are getting hijacked. Is it still relevant to have it?
I think there are certain factors that are very important. As we have mentioned, in the beginning of the show, that it is a very fundamental phenomenon. You know, that practice, like I said to Wuti, no one can teach you that. You know, but because of we are living in this world, manje, whereby criminality has taken a center stage, it is difficult to practice it. I may say, at some point you'd feel you want to exercise that spirit of Ubuntu, kodwa uthola ukuthi uyesaba nawe uqobo ukuthi kungenzeka ukuthi ugcine usuqolo. So it is very difficult for you to end. I cannot really sit here and say people must not have Ubuntu. You know, but I may say people, they need to watch how do they extend their head. Yes. And very important, sorry to interject, very important, you are not really being taken for the ride. Because that is very important. You are not really being taken for the ride and then trying to please everyone and trying to promote that spirit of Ubuntu while people are taking a ride.
So people must reciprocate this spirit.
Definitely. Because again, like I said, my understanding of it's collectivitism, you know, which simply means it mustn't be me only who's giving the spirit of Ubuntu to you or on Ubuntu, but it must be something that it's very mutualistic. Yes.
All right. While we are still on Ubuntu, cancel Moses Kakani says
Yes.
there is spiritual castration.
Yes.
Due to self-serving people. People want to see themselves prosper, and not everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, Uguti, the issue of individualism has really dominated our politics, has really dominated our homes, whereby people, they think of their stomach before or thinking of others. And we always say, Uguti, now we are in an era where we are served by politicians who seem to think more about their stomach more than people or even using their minds. So yes, there is that gap between Ubuntu, the spirit of Ubuntu, and people.
So we are led by self-serving people.
True.
And thus they disregard this.
Yes. And again, like I said, Tuguti, it's not really something that needs to be taught. Because of, even if you go to these worship places, you'd find one would preach, but you'd find even his teachings or her teachings, because of women now are pastors as well. You'd find the teachings are also self-serving. Yes. So that's where you'd find there is a problem, or even an elderly. In the homestead or in your family, you'd find she's supposed to actually teach us the spirit of Ubuntu, the spirit of collectivism among us, among family members. But you would find she or you'll have his own ideas. No, it's self-serving, It's not a spirit yokuthi no mfethu ingane kaba ayinayicathulo sicela ukuthi uyilekelele, but it would be always kune agenda one way or another.
People are always looking up for themselves.
True, my good sir.
All right. Now we are going deep now. As an investigator, we must deep look into the root cause thereof of this spiritual castration.
Yes.
One of the reasons for this spiritual castration is the born of poverty now. When we look at the reasons for poverty, then we find that there's lack of skill on those guys who cannot feed themselves. And that lack of skills goes again to our educational system. I see Chinese people, the children are learning how to do phones, but we are learning different story. I'll just show you the video right now of what we learn as young children. No skill, we just learn to talk while others are learning to do things. What's the correlation there?
Yeah, it's the issue of us still being controlled by the bourgeoisies. And I'm saying that yes, there is a direct correlation between poverty and lack of Ubuntu, because of hunger can really change the character of a person. It's one thing that even if you can pray, even if you can try by all means to be human, to exercise the spirit of Ubuntu, but if ever really the opportunities are not there for you now to feed yourself, there will be that element yokuthi usathane ehlebela amaqhinga if ekhona anyway, and then you'll end up doing izinto that you are not supposed to do. So true, there is a direct correlation between the lack of Ubuntu and poverty.
You talked about praying. You said it cannot even help.
No, it cannot.
It cannot feed your heart.
It cannot. Definitely it cannot.
I think a lot of people will disagree.
No, they can even disagree the way they want, because if you look at the book of Genesis, I'll just say it in passing because of it's not our topic. God says to Adam, "You're going to work the land. He says, from today, whatever that you're going to eat, it will come from your sweat, and you're going to work the land. He doesn't say you must pray.
Okay, so praying comes after you have worked the land.
That's the first instruction that God gave Adam. He says, from today, whatever that you eat will come from me to zako. And he says you will work this land.
So we start by working.
Yes. I don't know how it happened that people started praying before working. I don't know.
All right, okay.
Maybe you must call a pastor to come and explain that ideology of Guru Zoboda and praying the spirit of Ubuntu and all that. If you sleep and then or you become, very generous, and then people they stumble, upon you, then you're gonna get blessings. I'm waiting. Maybe you must call a pastor to actually explain that, maybe in a Christian ideology, where is it coming from? But where I'm sitting, you need to go there and scavenge for anything that you get
and work hard. Okay. Again, one of the main causes of self-serving is people finding opportunities, or people making opportunities for criminals to take advantage of those advantages. Like leaving your laptop in the car, you are obviously attracting, even if I wasn't thinking of going to steal, but because of I see an opportunity, I can somewhere there.
Yes.
Yeah, so what are Ubuntu saying with not displaying your valuable assets or showing off to other people?
You said that there is something that is very important, and perhaps it's gonna come wrong. It's very important ukuthi mfethu you mustn't really ungabalingi abantu. Because temptation is out there
everywhere,
one way or another. I'm not going to speak with the other temptation.
No, I wanted to go.
No, I'm not going there. But temptation is everywhere, and perhaps we cannot really now say to people, because of again the issue of freedom now. It's important, but again it goes back to. It goes back to the justice system. It goes back to our police. Because I can tell you for free, there are other countries that you'd find, people they still they sleep. They don't lock their gates. They don't lock their doors. Our neighbor in Botswana, you will never hear the issue of someone was robbed, a cell phone, someone was killed, So it's only here in South Africa whereby the value of life has amounted to nothing. Here in South Africa, the value of life really, it has been relegated to nothing. Yes. But in other countries, not even the issue of Ubuntu. You go to Europe, you go to other places, you will never find people are taking the value of life so cheap. So again, it's the issue of governance. It's the issue of the very same people who are leaders to firstly express that, not to come and canvass on votes and kissing black kids and doing all that and showing the spirit of Ubuntu, donating, cheap T-shirts to people and saying and giving people food parcels as the spirit of Ubuntu. No, it must be. There must be continuation. It must be a daily thing. Not even in terms of giving people these food parcels, but skilling them, giving them skill, is what you are saying. Trying by all means, they make policies that will make sure if ever maybe you like uyalahleka, uthatha impilo yomunye umuntu or whatever, and then you get punished. And again, to that, I think it's the starting point in terms of solving these issues, because of really, we cannot say everyone must really arm himself or herself because of there is no Ubuntu. But we have to always, preach the idea, yoguti, we must go back to our roots. We must be morally grounded. We must have this spirit of Ubuntu. But that does not mean that it's only me who must have the spirit of Ubuntu. It simply means that the country itself, it must be engulfed by the spirit of Ubuntu.
Definitely. And again, justice must be seen to be done.
True.
If ever I see you done something wrong and you are getting away with it,
true,
it leaves me with no choice than to take the law into my own hands again.
Yes. Yes.
So it promotes self-serving again.
Yes, because of, let me make an example, Vetu. In Hammanskraal, recently people had a problem with water, or people did not have access to water. But we all know which it was man-made. Whether you go to Gqeberha and all these places, even in Devon, you will know which this is man-made. So what they will do, they will make sure that people do not have access to water, and then from there, they will advertise a tender to supply water tankers and all that. So you can see Ubuti, there is an element of criminality, but the government is doing nothing about it. We speak about it, the Kiani project, Yamans in Limpopo. I think it's more than 13 years, and billions have been spent there. But still, people do not have water. Why? Because of these contractors, they are still eating. And again, how do you say it? Because of really depriving someone, access to water. That Vetu itself, it means you are fighting against the spirit of Ubuntu, or you are even fighting the nature itself because of how one can survive without water.
It is creating problems
exactly.
and benefiting from those problems, like ESCOM.
Yes.
Right, before we change the topic to politics. All right, there's this spirit of Ubuntu where a young child is expected to stand when an elderly person comes and deserves a seat. Is it still practiced? Do you see it still happening around?
No, it's not. And again, it's not relevant. It's not important.
Ubuntu. Going back to Ubuntu. Isn't that you are because of we are?
But it's a different story. What about if ever I'm in a bus, I'm in a taxi, I've paid for that seat?
Yes, but now there is this elder who is old and deserves to at least have some bit of comfort than you are still young. Isn't that Ubuntu?
That's why I was saying, we must be very careful. We must really not teach our generation to be submissive to any situation, But I think it depends on the situation. It depends where you come from. Obviously, but but it's not really practiced nowadays. Yes,
I see.
Yes.
All right, now we're going to the last portion now of the show where we find issues and we resolve issues.
Yes.
How do we go back to this spirit of Ubuntu and using it in a correct manner where it cannot be misused?
It's very easy, Betu. Let's start from the top. Our leaders must practice. The spirit of Ubuntu. These congregations, churches, Imbizo, and all that Tamakosi. That's what they need to preach. That's what. Because Betu, I'm still waiting. You say masakula Betu. One subject is called religious. Irrespective of whether it was teaching, the Christian ideology. But again, Uguti, at least it was going to mold you in a certain extent. And I'm saying, Uguti, the Department of Education must find a way or a subject that's similar to that, not religious, no, but something that is going to teach people moral values.
Life orientation.
I don't know what is life orientation.
Everyone is passing that.
I don't know what is life orientation. But if life orientation again it addresses that, then that's fine. But even at homes, we need to into our homes, we need to practice that. We need to teach our kids ukuthi, okay, fair enough, umuntu omdala, you give him respect, kanjalo kanjalo, and this thing of self-serving, it must end. We must teach our kids ukuthi they need to share. Little that they have, they need to share among each other. I think that's the starting point in terms of resolving this issue. And again, the issue yokuthi now, I mean, the justice system, it really punishes, the offenders. Because of, again, most people, they will tell you, but the system and the environment, it really changed people. Because I see even now, people, they are going all out to get licensed firearms because of they feel the spirit of Ubuntu, it's dead. They feel Uguti. And I always say to people, the spirit of Ubuntu, it's what really separates us from animals.
Okay, but it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
And there is this notion where if you find a child who is misbehaving, as a community member, you must discipline that child.
Yes.
And some of the parents are opposing that notion to say, don't beat my child up. I will discipline.
Yes.
Is it spirit of Ubuntu to build, to chastise umntana kamakhelwane? And if not, then if I see your child doing something wrong, what's the line of march? Because of the spirit of Ubuntu was me disciplining that child, and now Kaya.
I think the issue here, that's not the spirit of Ubuntu. We are dealing with the aftermath. But I think what we should deal, with how that child is raised from the beginning. So that he understands even and then it does not even escalate it into a beating. I think because of noma ukhona umuntu uzoyishayela beyishayela ukuthi ukuthi khuluma isingisi nje
ayiqhame
nje
they are misusing the spirit guys
beyishayela ukuthi khuluma isingisi manje
ashaya ingane ngathi ushaya wena through the child
akukho right.
Hey guys, let's find ourselves, let's find the spirit and practice the spirit of Ubuntu. It's a nice spirit to practice.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Butustebe, for always blessing us with your thinking.
Yes.
We like the way you think.
Yes. Ungathi ubaba uSithebe ubhuti ayikho to ubhuti. Thank you very much, sir. It was nice to be here. Thank you.
Please, guys.
We out.
Can't live without the truth, eh?